You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I could be running or I'm chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive, life. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. And you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play, and you couldn't handle that I had no ways. Around your magics and your side chicks, I'm a winner.
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
VICKtorious! VICKtorious!
Hey. Happy Friday, Junior. My name is Dr. Nicole D. Vick, and welcome to this week's episode of Dr. VICKtorious. Woo! We explore the intersections of social justice, wellness, and what it means to show up fully human, particularly from a Black perspective, because as you can see, I'm Black. Hey! This week, we are wrapping up the year. We're wrapping it up with a nice little bow. Boo, wrapping it up. There have been some amazing things that have happened this year. There have been some really sad things that have happened this year. And I kind of want to walk through. Now, we ain't going to go month by month and be like, on January 1st, this is what I did. We ain't going to do that. But I just want to really reflect, because I feel like you got to look back first before you look forward. That's just kind of how I feel in my head. Go back and boot and then go forward. That's how I feel. And the boot has to go in there. Boot and then go forward. But before we do all of that, we got to do the scroll stroll. Woo! Let's go into the scroll stroll. I love these things. I be seeing stuff and I'm like, what is going on? So the first one, Trump. I don't often say his name, but I've been trying to make these things sound funny and cute. But there's been I picked this one because of the fact that in my day-to-day job, I do disability work and I also have a disability. And so he's trying to get rid of the American Sign Language interpreters at his briefings, right? So oftentimes, if you are an organization that cares about people with disabilities, you actually have sign language interpreters that are interpreting in real time so that people that cannot hear can follow up with what you're doing. I had to think wait, what is it? And so for him, he says this is messing up my image by allowing these interpreters to interpret what I say in real time. And I'm like, but they're literally just interpreting what you are saying. So what's the problem? I don't like it. It's a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, first of all, right? Why are you trying to sort of keep people in the dark about the information? And to me, that's literally what that is saying. I don't want people with disabilities to have access to this information. And so it bothers me. And I don't like it. And I hope that it is challenged and it doesn't prevail because it's not appropriate. Everything, folks, things, especially governmental information, should be accessible to everyone in the way that they wish it to be available to them. So either sign language interpretation or in other languages, for example, that people feel more comfortable getting their information. So that bothered me, and I didn't like it. I don't like it. I'm just saying. All right, the next one, we have some people that have passed away in some very interesting circumstances that I'm like not happy about. Like, what is happening? So recently, this was Sunday, I believe, Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered on Sunday. That was the 14th. And it sounds like their son, Nick Reiner, was taken into custody. So of course, we don't exactly know what happened, but something happened. And now Nick Reiner's parents are no longer here. And so I was reading on the internet, it says Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McConnell said the 32-year-old Nick has been booked for murder in the deaths, though the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office told CNN it has not yet filed criminal charges in the case. So we'll keep our eye on that. But I find it really disturbing. And the reason why is because like about a week prior to that, Grammy-nominated opera singer Jubilant Sykes died following a dispute with his son at their Santa Monica home. So I'm like, what is happening? I hope this is not like, sometimes when stuff like this happens, it starts becoming an epidemic. Like you start to see this pattern. And I'm really hoping that's not what this is. I'm just really worried. Like, wait, what's going on? I know there was some speculation that Jubilant Sykes' son is neurodivergent or has some mental health issues. And so I think, to me, what that says is there may be a gap in support services for families where the children may have those types of needs and they don't get the support that they need. And so they're trying to manage on their own and maybe not have the tools, the support or whatever and strategies to work with their adult children that may have some of those issues. And I'm not 100% clear on that, but I did kind of hear that sort of being kind of bantered about on social media. So rest in peace to both of those families. Very traumatizing. I understand that Rob Reiner's family, he has multiple children. So there are other children, maybe potentially grandchildren that are mourning this loss. I mean, all of us are. They're prolific filmmaker, actor, all these things. And it's like, what's happening? So really, really feel bad. And want to get more information about what's going on with that. So not a very happy scroll, but something that I felt like we should talk about it and bring forward in case you hadn't heard. And the last scroll is a little bit interesting. I was scrolling on Threads and I promise you I saw Kev on Stage stitch a video of a podcast episode. I can't remember what the podcast was. And they were talking about how the founder of MySpace literally said, hey, we stole the idea from, watching folks on Black Planet, which started in 1999 and MySpace came after. So it was really interesting to hear that because I think a lot of times, in the Black community, we'll say that like, man, they be stealing our ideas. And we kind of say it. And I don't know if we really mean it that hard. But like literally to hear it later, like, wait, that was the catalyst for social media. Because if you think about it, Black Planet, right, was 1999. Then MySpace came after, and then Facebook came after. So everything, are you literally saying everything was was started on with Black Planet? Was the catalyst? That's crazy. And I don't think anybody that I know of has that kind of conversation about the originators. So that was interesting to me. Now I will say I saw it, and then when I went back to try to make sure I saw it, I didn't see it no more. So I was like, did I imagine that? And I don't think so, because I Googled it and kind of looked and there was some language around it. So I was like, okay, I don't know where Kev on Stage video went, but I saw it. I know I did. And it was just a really interesting conversation. I know there was a conversation similar to like Friends and is it Living Single? I think it was, right? That they were, Friends was based off of Living Single. And I'm like, I didn't really, until it was brought to my attention, I hadn't made that connection. So I don't know. It just reminds me that a lot of things that we create as a culture literally are the platform for everything else that comes after it. And it's amazing. But I just wish it was well known amongst everyone instead of sort of us having that information in our back pocket. I wish everybody knew that, because I think maybe people would see us differently. I don't know. That's just something that I've been thinking a lot about. But that's my stroll for this week. We're going to go to commercial, and then we're going to come back and talk about the year in review.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
Hey, how y'all doing? Real quick, this is Daryl Walter, host of the Daryl Walter Show. I know. And you are watching Pyro Media Network.
All right, y'all, we're going to take this time to reflect on 2025 because we're almost to 2026. It's amazing how fast this year went by. I feel like it was June 5 minutes ago, and now it's December. And I'm like, what happened? Hello. Literally, for me, weeks go by very, very quickly. It's really crazy to me, where I'm like, wait, that was just a week ago. It felt like yesterday. So strange. And I feel like this only happens as you age, because when I was young, a week felt like 3 weeks, but now a week feel like 3 days. It's insane. Anyway, I'm one of those kind of folks that really think that looking back is really important, especially in moments of uncertainty. It kind of is a way to ground yourself. And then also sometimes, and I know I'm not the only one, you be like, dang, I didn't do anything, or I didn't do what I wanted to do. But when you start to think back and take stock of what you've done, it's like, oh, snap, I actually did a lot. So looking back before you head into a new year, to me, is a good way of just kind of making sure, like, okay, wow, give yourself credit for everything you've done. And it is a good sort of jump off point for the next year. It's about being honest with yourself. It's not about being perfect. It's about reflection, right? So one of the things that is the most significant aspect of 2025 for me was the journey to mobility. So really trying to reflect on how far I've come with my mobility. So if I did nothing else this year, I think that was enough. So just a little bit of background. I had my first physical therapy appointment at the end of 2024, literally December. I think it was like December either 27th or 29th. So January of 2025, I had just started physical therapy. I was in a wheelchair prior to that. And then it was like, all right, we're going to put you in this boot and we're going to give you a walker. You got to start walking. You got to do these exercises. You got to go to the pool. You got to do all these things at home and come see me. I think I was seeing a physical therapist once a week. As I, was working toward my mobility. There's a lot of fear, a lot of trust issues. I have a friend that just broke her ankle. She was like, my doctor said I could walk on my foot, but I don't trust it. And so it was a lot of that, like, hello. And in my case, I was off my foot for a very long time. 3 months is a long time to not use your foot, plus the time that I recovered from surgery. So it was probably 5 months total. So it was a lot to be able to say, is this ankle going to hold? I'm like, is it going to hold me up? I'm scared. I don't know. Even that. So it's the physical and it's the mental as well. And coming to the realization that your body is not necessarily going to do everything that you wanted to do at that point in time, and working through that. There were issues with logistics. Oh, I need to go to this place. Well, can I get in the door? Is the witch, like all those sorts of things, or finding out like, dang, how come this door is so heavy? I'm trying to go to the restroom and I can't even open the door. So just a lot of life lessons, as well as the literal act of going through physical therapy to attain or reattain my mobility. And so, like, at this point in time, I can walk unassisted, specifically in the house. I do most of it at home. Outside, I still take my cane, but I'm getting better. My physical therapist, I made a video and I posted it, I think, on Instagram, me starting to walk on the treadmill. And listen, I have to put it on the slowest setting. Like most time you push to start, it'll start at 1 mile per hour. I said, no, come down to half a mile per hour. Stop playing treadmill. And I'm like, people is running next to me and I'm just like, I'm holding on like this. So it's like, it's so crazy. This entire journey has been amazing and crazy and hard at the same time. It taught me a lot about patience. I'm not a patient person. I don't think I'm terribly impatient, but I'm not as patient as people think. And this, I had to be patient, either with myself, my literal body, or, well, I need a ride. I gotta be patient. I gotta figure this out, and I have to wait for someone to be able to help me. It taught me a lot about humility. It taught me a lot about listening to my body. I think I'm much more aware of what's happening in my body, because for a point in time, this part of my body was not active. So I had to be really knowledgeable and pay attention to what was going on. And I will say this, even in physical therapy, my therapist will say, where are you feeling this? When I'm asking you to do this movement, where do you feel it? And it's like, I have to stop and think, like, I don't know. I guess it's my leg. So I would have to really learn how to listen to my body. And it helped me to also reframe progress. What does progress mean when things don't happen linearly? There's a lot of starts and stops. There's a lot of wait. You want to move forward, but you have to wait because the doctor says, I don't want this to happen yet. You have to wait. So I learned a lot of lessons about myself, about other people, about the healthcare industry, about all the things when I was working on regaining my mobility. And I will say, as it stands today, I'm not 100% well. My calf muscles are still not strong enough. And I'm working towards that, but I'm definitely a trillion times better than I was when I started the year on January 1st. So I'm grateful for that. And that was huge. That was a huge step for me. I tell everybody that I know, don't break your ankle. Please don't. Whatever you got to do not to break it, don't break it. Don't be careful. Be very careful when you're working around your house. Pay attention to what you're doing, because a fall like that is really, really devastating. But again, grateful for the journey. It wasn't fun. 3 months sitting at home with no, help was definitely not a fun thing. But I feel like, and I'll stand on this statement that someone told me, even though I don't speak to her no more. She was like, it's unfortunate that it happened to you, but you were the person that it was supposed to happen to because of who you are and your background in healthcare. You're able to speak about it in a way that makes sense, and just kind of gives it some sort of sense of like, wait, this is real life. And this is what needs to happen differently. So I stand by that statement. Other things that have happened in my life, which I think are amazing, honestly, because of my disability, I was still able to do things like travel. And that was interesting too, traveling with the disability, working with the airlines to make sure I had assistance to get to the plane and all that stuff also was a journey. But I will say, prior to me hurting myself and breaking my ankle, I don't think I have traveled as much as I have traveled in this year while recovering from my broken ankle. So I presented at a number of conferences, really proud of that work. One of them I did in collaboration with some friends that I met on LinkedIn. I be meeting people on LinkedIn and we be vibing and connecting. So I had two colleagues that work in the public health space. My friends, Dr. Alice and Dr. Alicia, we presented at a conference in Phoenix. I think that was April of this year, the Art and Science of Health Promotion Conference. So we got to do that. That was my first time on a plane with with a disability. I have gone to Minnesota and seen and presented my research at the Minnesota State HIV conference and got to meet a really good friend of mine for the first time in person. I have gotten to present at, let me see. So that's the second one. The third one was in Pittsburgh. That was my first time going to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Very beautiful places, lots of green. It's like, what's all these trees? Oh my God, I've never seen so many trees and things. And so my producer is going to put up some of the photos of the various places that I've done my presentations over this year. So I did the one in Phoenix in April, the one in Minnesota in June, and then the last one in Pittsburgh, I can't remember where I was or what month that was, but I went, went to Pittsburgh. So that's me in Minnesota. This is the one in Pittsburgh. I loved it. I got to share, and this is actually recently here in Los Angeles. I'm chair of an organization called California Black Health Network, and they had a really cool event and whatnot. So I was asked to MC sort of their reception or happy hour, which was really cool. This is me again in Minnesota. And I'm really excited to do more of that. The thing that I find interesting is, like, I don't know if you've been to a conference or done conference work. Like Dr. Alicia said that, she was like, wait, y'all want my intellect and my intellectual property, my what I've learned and discovered, and want me to share it, but you want me to pay you to share it with people. Like, that's weird. So that's the thing I'm finding to be a problem. Like, I would love to go to conferences more often, but I find that the expectation is that you also pay to present. And then not only that, I mean, if it's somewhere else, I have to also pay for travel. So it's really interesting thing. One of the conferences, we were lucky, we didn't have to pay. We just had to pay to get there, but we didn't have to pay for our lodging or our registration fees. And let me tell you, some of these conferences, their registration fees are really, really expensive. There was one that was $1,000, and I was like, I don't have it. And then have to still fly to the state or the city that it's in. And then have to pay for a hotel room. I'm like, dang. So it's really makes it hard to be able to, submit abstracts for these conferences to go present. Like, I ain't got the money. So anyway, all that to say, I'm sure we can figure it out for next year, because I know there's still opportunity for us to spread the knowledge, because Dr. Alice and Dr. Alicia and I have specific expertise in the public health workforce, specifically around psychological safety. And so we would love to take our show on the road. Other people have said to me, we need to figure out how we can collaborate so we can start to go present at conferences. And I'm like, we got to solve the money problem first, because I don't know how else to do this with no money. And I'm like, I just don't have the extra income for that right now. I've been continuing to show up as a public health professional and storyteller. My LinkedIn account has grown. I've been really strategic about posting often and frequently. And I think I'm almost to 6,000 followers on LinkedIn. That's actually the highest number of followers I have on any of my social media platforms. So I'm continuing to nurture that relationship and continue to provide information and resources and just be there. And it's hard because you have to balance vulnerability and remain professional. And sometimes that's a hard thing. Do you tell your business? Do you not? What do you say? How do you get this information out in a way that is authentic to your audience, and also compels them to want to work with you? So it's something I continue to work on. And then another thing that was really cool. So I am a native of South Los Angeles, California. I've been here my whole life. And, which means I've gone through the school system. Some are public schools and some are parochial schools. And I was asked to give the keynote speech at this year's culmination at my old middle school. Now, when I went to the school, it wasn't a middle school, it was a junior high school. And so they reached out to me and, hey, can you give the culmination speech? And I'm like, yes, yes, I can. And so I showed up. I think at that time I was using a walker. See, I'm telling you the challenges. So I got there. I could drive. Thankfully, at that time I was cleared to drive. But I had my little walker and we're walking across this grass very carefully because I'm like, child, we ain't trying to fall. And I had to go up this stage. I'm like, y'all, please don't let me fall up this stage. and I gave the culmination address at Audubon Middle School. I graduated from Audubon Middle School in 1993. Woo! And gave the address for the 2025 culmination. How many years ago? Like, I don't know. It's been a long time, okay? But I was so happy to do it. I even dressed for the occasion. I had on the school colors are green and white, and I actually have a tracksuit from Old Navy that is green and white and is the exact same colors. So I wore that, and I had an Audubon t-shirt on. So I made sure I was matching. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful occasion. The producer put the photos up of me. You can actually go to Audubon, their Instagram account. And if you search, you can see the whole ceremony. So you'll see me giving that speech. And it was really amazing. It was amazing to see the young folks. And I was able to tell them, listen, one of the things I said, sometimes the prevailing thought is you have to leave your community in order to do big things, right? If you want to be a great person, you got to leave. And I was like, I've done everything that I've done in this community, literally everything. There's nothing wrong with leaving, right? Sometimes you do need to explore the world and see what other people are doing and thinking and feeling and operating, how they're living. But again, you don't have to do that to be an amazing person, to consider yourself accomplished. And so I made that point to them, like, you can be right here in your community doing amazing work. You do not have to leave to consider yourself accomplished. And the last thing I'll say, that was also the highlight of my year. Oh my gosh, I was at this event California Black Women's Health Project was putting on, and I was coming out the bathroom. I'm telling you, timing. I was coming out the restroom with my little walker. And I ran into Dara Star Tucker. If you don't know who she is, she's amazing. She's a singer. And she is the host of, I can't remember the name of the show in the morning, child, on KJLH radio every morning. And when I saw her, I'm like, I got to catch her. And again, I'm really good at that. Like, I got to say my spiel. And I was like, oh my gosh, I watch you and I love your social media and da, 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 da. I was like, yes, you're amazing. I was like, let me tell you about my ankle. And, because I had the walker, so I could talk about that story, and I could say I'm a public health professional. And, I dealt with the injury and I was treated like crap. And she's like, we might want to talk about that on my radio show. Email my producer and da 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 da. I said, who's your producer? And she said who he was. I said, I spoke to him earlier. I was like, yes. And I followed up, and they were like, come on the show. And it was amazing. She had done so much background information and research on this particular topic. So she did the sort of preamble to our interview. I was in the back listening to her, and I'm like, she knows her stuff. She's a really good researcher. Like I said, she was speaking about it. I'm like, girl, you don't even need me. You done already done said all the things. But it was amazing to sit there and have a conversation with her producer, the guy that handles all the stuff in the back end, the guy that handles the switchboard and the phone calls and things. Everybody was cool. It reminded me how cool radio is. And so it was really great to meet her and to be invited to speak on the radio. That's actually my third time that I was on KGLH since probably the early 2000s. So super, super cool. Yes. So those are the amazing things that have happened professionally for me. And I'm super, super excited about it. And I'm really excited about what's next. I've been on some podcasts as well as guest this year, hoping to do more of that in the next year as well. But, I can't ignore that there were some moments of sadness, very sad times for me, unexpected. I'm like, come on now, universe, what is you doing? What is happening? What? I told y'all about this, that I lost my friend John. It was so bad that I had to ask ChatGPT, what in the world is going on up in here? So John was someone that I had met last year. Yes, I met him in 2024. And at a time when, there were a lot of people that really showed up for me when I first hurt myself, able to take me around and take me to my doctor's appointments. Josie, my friend Krishanda, my brother, my daughter even came, like when I had my surgery. She was here for like that few days. So there were people that really showed up for me. But what really happened is folks have lives. They have things to do, and they can't always drop and be like, okay, let me take you to the doctor. They have jobs, they have stuff to do. And so it just was so crazy that John had the kind of job where he was able to, oh, what time is your doctor? Oh, okay, I'm good. Let's go. And so I was able to get to a lot of my doctor's appointments with his help. And again, there were other friends that were definitely there as well. But in this context, John literally just filled in the gap. He stood in the gap at a time where I was my most vulnerable. And listen, you sitting in the car with somebody going to back and forth to doctor's appointments, y'all have conversation. There's lots of things to talk about. There, you get to know each other. I'm listening to him talk about his partner, Carlos. I'm telling him, hey, this is what you need to do. You know, we're sharing, and our friendship is growing, right? And again, I was able to be myself and get the help that I needed, right? And so as I was getting better, I'm like, yes, we can go back to the brief time before I got hurt when I had first started hanging out with him. We can start going back outside. He wanted to be my wingman. He was like, I'm going to get you on. You need a man, girl. And so all these plans, travel. We were talking about going to Phoenix to go see Andrea because he wanted to go see about the university, the Arizona State University. We were talking about going to Memphis. All these things we had talked about, and he got sick. He had a health issue in July that I didn't find out. I didn't realize what was happening until later. And then I started to see him in the hospital, you know, show my support and let him know I was there. And the last time that I saw him, they had woken him up because he had been intubated and everything. And the last time that I saw him, he recognized me. You could tell. He kind of looked at me and his eyes kind of changed. And he was trying to talk to me, but he couldn't because he had the thing in his throat. And I was like, oh my gosh, yay, he's coming back. You know, whatever this is, whatever his illness is, it's no one's business what it was. But what I'm saying is whatever was happening to him, that gave me the feeling that he was recovering and it wasn't to be. And I think it was just really devastating because it was sort of a beginning of a friendship that never got the chance to fully materialize. And that was really devastating to me. I still think about him a lot. Just in my day-to-day, he'll just cross my mind. I have his obituaries nearby. Sometimes I'll open the drawer, it's right there. And I'm like, hey, John, how you doing, man? My friend gave me a wind chime. I'll hear it. I'm like, that's him, right? So it's one of those things where I don't think you ever stop grieving. But then you also recognize the gratitude, right? Like, I'm so grateful that I had the chance to know him, to get to meet the people that matter to him, Carlos, right? I talk to him every so often, text him to check on him. But the loss, like I was just telling the producer before we started, I said, are you serious? I will never be able to call John and speak to him ever again. I will never be able to call him and be like, dang, guess what happened? You know, so it's just that part of it is like, I don't know. I still can't wrap my head around that. Like, for real, like I'm never going to be able to call him again. So it's that grief, but then there's also that immense gratefulness for him. And of course, everyone else that really stood up and tried to help me, because it was hard. I was like, I can't drive, I can't do nothing. What am I do? And then on top of that, the healthcare system was really like being a butthole, you know? So he really was there through the whole thing and was able to see my progression. And I know he's proud of me. I just wish he could be here so I could thank him again for everything that he had done. So let's wrap up and talk about lessons the year left behind, things that I'm carrying forward. One of them, just talk about now, since I just talked about John, being a better friend. I don't think I was ever a bad friend, but I feel like I'm more mindful now, checking on people. Hey, you good? Paying attention to what people say and following up. Oh, how's your uncle? Right? Oh, how's work? Is work better? Like, what's going on differently? Or, hey, I saw this and I thought about you. Right? So I'm carrying that forward, how to be a better friend. Also, the the experiences I've had as a person with a disability, being more mindful of how people with disabilities operate within this world, and like, how can we make that better? How can we make things better for folks that have different needs? Those things I'm carrying forward. What I'm learning to release, I feel like if people self-select themselves out of my life, I need to be okay with that. I need to not worry so much about what people think about Nicole, right? What they think about me is none of my business. So I told y'all, I didn't go into detail, but I told y'all about the one friend that had a need, and I said, okay. And for whatever reason, they weren't happy with how I don't know. And they were upset. And I didn't know they were upset until months later. And I'm like, well, you called me crying, and I said yes, and yes, let's make this happen for you. But then my circumstances changed, and I said, well, I need you to do something differently. And it was a mess. So at first I was like, oh, she probably done told everybody I'm a horrible person, and how do I fix that? I can't. I did what I could do at the time. It wasn't good enough for her. I guess I could say I'm sorry, but it's like, it is what it is. Right. So I'm learning to release that. I think because I'm type A, I'm a Virgo, I'm the first daughter. I worry a lot about what people think about me, and I'm learning to let go of that. Like, all right, it's good. If you think I'm evil, that's fine. It's fine. I can't do nothing about it. And then other things, the quiet strength of surviving hard seasons, right? This year was probably the hardest. Well, second hardest to actually breaking my ankle at the end of last year. And so there is value in being silent and just doing the work. And I think that's one thing I think about when I think about my physical therapist, like, do the work, and the work will show, right? So if I had just not done any of the things she taught me to do, I'd probably be behind. But she said, do this, I go home and do my exercises, and it shows in the work that I do. So I think that's the other thing that I'm really picking up on. Like, you don't always have to talk about what you're doing. Do it, be it, show it. You don't have to talk about it a lot and tell everybody. Just be the thing, and it'll make sense later on. Encouragement for 2026. And the crazy thing is, I was looking through some some text messages between me and John, and he was talking about, man, 2026 will be here before we know it. He's not here. And I think that also speaks to some of the things that I'm carrying forward. Like, time to me doesn't really mean the same thing as it used to before. It doesn't mean anything, because one minute you can be here and the next minute you can be gone. So it's like, ooh, you got to really think about those things. Like, life is short. It really, really is. And for some of us, it's way shorter than for other people. And so as I talk about encouragement for next year, if you're grieving, you're healing, you're starting over at work, wherever you're starting over with, give yourself grace. I think that's the biggest thing I would say to everybody. Give yourself grace as you move into this next year, because there's a lot going on outside, right? And it can really mess with our spirit. And so give yourself grace. Also give yourself permission to move at your own pace. You are the only person running your race. I think about that a lot too. Even when I was in my doctoral program, oh my gosh, I'm behind. Other people have already defended their dissertation. I'm behind. Baby, behind who? Who you behind? How could you be behind when you're the only one running your race? You can't be behind yourself. So get rid of that comparison, right? What is comparison? The thief of joy. Don't do it. Remember, you're running your own race. Move at your own pace. I had to learn that with my ankle, baby. It ain't gonna go faster than what it can go. it can't. So relax, calm down, and take your time. The other thing I'll say is, you don't have to be ready to take the next step. Do it funny style, do it sideways, do it messy, and then continue to do it, and it gets better each time. So I think that's another thing that I have an issue with. That's the type A. No, it has to be perfect, baby. Just do it. Just start. Okay. So that's my encouragement for 2026. We're going to take one more commercial break, and then I'm going to close out, and then I'll see y'all in the new year.
What's going on, y'all? It's Kwame Speaks from Kwame Speaks Live, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
All right, we're wrapping up. We're heading into our final section called The Doctor's Notes. I want to send you off gently into the new year. Like, again, I think the biggest thing I want to say is have grace with yourself. There is so much going on in the world. The world is hard enough as it is. Ain't no sense being hard on yourself as well. Ain't no sense. Ain't no sense. Okay. So give yourself grace, move at your own pace. Use things like journals, and I'm gonna type myself up because I have one. Push through 52 weeks of light and tough times. And I mean, are we in tough times? I think we are. So a perfect journal to start. Use your journaling. Get in community. Find people to support you to get you through the year. And I'll leave kind of with this thought. So the first week of my journal is a quote that I found that I was like, it says, "Don't be fooled by the calendar. There are only as many days in the year as you make use of." Charles Richards. Don't be fooled by the calendar. There are only as many days in the year as you make use of. Make use of your time. But again, ain't no sense in rushing and being super productive for no reason and running around like relax, give yourself grace. But remember, there's only as many days in the year as you make use of. And if you make use of half of them, that's fine too. Shoot, hey, do what you got to do, make it happen for yourself. I would like to say that I'm so grateful for all of you who have followed me over the years, from pushing through to Nicole D. Vick Live and now to Dr. VICKtorious. You all have been here and have been incredibly supportive. I appreciate all of you. So I would like to leave with that message as well. And now let's go on and do the usual spiel, right? I have a fabulous website. It's amazing. It's amazing. www.nicoledvick.com. You can follow me there, find all of my podcast episodes, past and present. If you need to reach out to me, there's a way to do that on the website as well. My books are there. Pushing Through, Finding the Light in Every Lesson. That's book 1. Push Through 52 Weeks of Light in Tough Times. That is the journal. And like I said, I think it's really good. It got a quote for every week and a writing prompt for you to write a message. And then my latest book is an anthology with 22 other authors called Triumph in the Trenches. Listen, work finna be really interesting over the next year and a half. Folks are realizing budgets ain't right. We got to make some changes. As a Black person, how do you navigate that? That book will help you navigate 22 authors from different industries talking about their work experiences and how they got over. Because, baby, we're going to have to get over. We're going to have to survive it. And so that book is a really, really good resource to have. And I think that's it. Oh, my social media. You can follow me on Instagram. My professional Instagram is Dr. VICKtorious. That's where you see my public health side, my podcast side. You can still follow Nicole D. Vick. That's more of the nails and the, hey, I found this new kitchen gadget. Ooh, look at that. Like that's where that lives. I'm mostly on LinkedIn these days talking about workforce stuff, the workforce, the organizational development, training, and all that great stuff. So yeah, check me out, reach out, look at the website, do all the things. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Have a happy holiday season. And I can't remember if we're gonna do another episode between now and New Year, but if not, because I can't remember, Happy New Year in advance. Okay. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.